Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am going over my end of December wrap-up. Thank goodness December is finally over. December has been a trying month for me. I just filmed a video which will be going up probably after this one, surprisingly, but I will be spilling a lot of the tea in it because December was rough. But let's not talk about that now. Let's talk about the books I read in the second half of December. The first half of December was really fruitful. I read like 7 books. And then the second half was much harder for reading because I had the holidays and all of that and the car accident and all that jazz. So it was really hard getting everything together and like finding a lot of time to read overall. But I did manage to read another 4 books. Not like my highest amount of books I've ever read, but I had other things going on. But you know what, considering the holidays were here and the accident and all that, 4 books isn't so bad. Without further ado, let's just get into the books I finished off 2019 with. Oh my gosh, I finished the year off with these books. First category is holiday romance, and I read 2 of those. For starters, I read The Trouble with Mistletoe by Jill Shalvis, and I mean, this is just made of Christmas romance. Oh my gosh. This is part of the Heartbreaker Bay series, and it takes place in San Francisco, and they're all like zany rom-coms. So it's perfect if you like, you know, all of the zany rom-com tropes, but like with more smut. So yeah, it's perfect if you like kind of like the Hallmarky, you know, Netflix Christmas movie, which are just stupid romantic comedies, but you also want some fucking. Like, this'll give it to you. It's fine. Like, let's be real. I'm not reading this because I think it's great literature. I'm just reading it because it's supposed to be delightful. And it was. It was thoroughly delightful. It's about Keen and Willa, and they kind of have a past. I think they went to high school together, and it didn't end up well. Like, Keen doesn't even remember Willa, but apparently Willem asked him to a dance, and he says, like, yeah, sure. And never thought of it again and stood her up, and she hates him. And then he walks back into her life with a cat from hell. So Willa owns a pet store. There are tons of adorable pets in this book, and also a very temperamental feline who likes to take shits on Keen's shoes. She doesn't like him either. So you have Willa and Keen trying to make a go of it, but you know, they both have like relationship issues. They're scared of commitment. They're scared of lots of things in relationships, and they're trying to make it work. It's very much like relationship drama stuff that like I personally in my real life I would not have put up with, but in rom-coms people put up with them, and I'm fine with that. I mean, overall I think I gave it like 4 stars just because it gave me exactly what I thought I was going to get out of it. Like, is it great? No, it's not great. However, it's a zany Christmas rom-com, you know? Like, it just has like Christmas and smut and adorable animals. Like, it just gave me everything I thought I was gonna get out of it, and it was exactly what I needed at that moment. I needed like a good palate cleanser book. I was reading this during the accident. Well, not during the accident, but around that time period. So I just needed something that was completely unlike my life at that moment. So this one is full of cute animals, cute cats, cute dogs, cute everything, and then 2 people trying to work out their relationship issues, and also, you know, banging the bejesus out of each other. So basically, that's about it. I could get into more details of plot, but why? Like, it's a Christmas romance. Like, no one's expecting a lot out of this, really. Actually, never mind. One thing I do want to talk about for like a hot second is that I think people who are now obsessed with watching reruns of Friends will definitely love this. It's kind of that sense of humor, and also you have like this big group of late 20-somethings all kind of living together all the time because they all live in the same building. So it's very reminiscent of like a Friends type of atmosphere, and also, you know, relationship drama and cute animals and smuts. So yeah, basically if you're like a fan of Christmas time and Friends, you're gonna freaking love this. This will be delightful and right up your alley. However, if you're not fans of those things, I do not recommend reading because you're gonna get exactly that. You're gonna get Christmas and like zany rom-com. Personally, I got everything out of it that I expected to get out of it, so I got 4 stars just because it was what it was, you know? It was exactly what I was expecting, and I got what I was expecting. It was an enjoyable read. but it can't give it 5 stars. For heaven's sakes, I can't give it 5 stars. It's not great, but it's fun. So if you want something simple and delightful, you don't have to think real hard about, this is your girl right here. This is it. Just pick this one up. I also read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. This also completed my Sarah J. Maas adventure because I meant to read all of the Sarah J. Maas books this year, and I did it. I'm a champion. Going into this, I was nervous because I have seen such terrible reviews of it. And as soon as I said that in a different video that I've only seen negative reviews, a few people were like, no, it's good. Like, so I've seen a few good and mostly bad though. And I was like, how bad is it? You know, I had that morbid curiosity in my soul. And so I started reading it and I went in just thinking, I'm like, you know what? This is gonna be like a fan novella. And I've read a lot of like paranormal romance series where people get really attached to the characters and then sometimes the author will put out like a Christmas novella and it's just like rehashing the characters and how they're spending their Christmas. So it's really just for the fans who get to hang out with these characters a little bit more. So I kind of went in with that expectation. And honestly, that's exactly what this is. It's just a fan novella. It's like, oh, people miss these characters. Here's a little Christmas time story about how they're all spending Christmas together. So, you know, if you go into it thinking that, like you're a fan of the series and you're like, oh, I miss those characters. What are they doing for Christmas? This'll give it to you. However, if you go into this expecting anything to happen plot-wise, you're going to hate it so much. So I finally figured out why people hate this is because there's really no plot here. There's nothing going forward to, I don't know, there's maybe suggestions of things that might be continued on in the new trilogy coming out for this series, but overall this is just like fan service. It's not anything that's like gonna change how the future books are being told. Like you could not read this and just go straight into the next trilogy and you'd probably be just fine. This is not adding anything to the plot. It's just like for fans. Basically, if you're a fan and you just want to like hang out with the characters for a little bit, this is your book. However, if you actually want to read something with a plot, you're really gonna hate this. So yeah, it gave me all the stuff I was expecting it to give me. It's just like all of the ACOTAR characters having Christmas and what's that like for them, because you know it's also after that big war, so everyone's still rebuilding and like there's a lot of grief going on, so it's also kind of about hope. It's so saccharine Christmassy, but with, you know, fae warriors. Also, it's a novella, so it's pretty short. However, like they just devoted a whole chapter to Rhys and Feyre just banging the bejesus out of each other. Like, I don't say that lightly. The bejesuses were banged out of them. Like, it was intense smut. And I'm still astounded these are in the YA section because, like, it's intense smut. It's graphic. It's so graphic. I was like, dang. So, yes, they should be in the adult section. It is very graphically smutty. For at least a whole chapter. I mean, it's a fair smutty scene. Like, it was pretty good. It's well written. So for that, it had good smut. It had like fun Christmas adventures. It's also about these characters dealing with grief and also like moving forward in life. And it's just, you know, it's just fluff, basically. It's nothing that's gonna be important. You can just read this and be like, oh, well, that didn't make any difference to anything. The main deciding factor of whether or not you're gonna like this is if that matters to you. The fact that this doesn't mean anything. If it's gonna really bother you that this doesn't mean anything, you're going to really hate this. Like, if you're expecting plot, this is not the book for you. If you don't really care if it means anything or not, you just want to spend some time with the characters, you'll probably love this. So, honestly, I gave it 4 stars because it was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. Like, I didn't care because I don't really care about the plot in general. I just wanted to see them have Christmas. And I did. So I actually kind of liked it. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was like, you know, it's just like a fan novella. It is what it is. And, you know, it had decent smut. It had some jokes. It had some, you know, Christmassy adventures. It is what it is. So kind of like the other book I just mentioned, it is what it is. If you're expecting too much out of it, you're going to be sorely disappointed. If you just go in thinking, I'm just going to read a Christmas story, you're going to be happy. Next category is Sapphic Delights, and I read 2 of those. I couldn't close 2019 without reading Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Ngan. I had to read this. And this is the arc, and I will say that I'm really glad I decided to listen with audio as well, because, oh man, she has completely rewritten the arc. Just FYI, if you only have read the arc, the finished copy of the book is very different. It's the same story, don't get me wrong. It's just that she rewrote and added paragraphs and deleted paragraphs all over this. So it was very hard to follow along with the audio because the audio was saying things I'm like, those aren't on my page, where are these? So it's actually a rare thing where I have an arc that's considerably different than the final draft. So that was interesting. This is book 2. I read Girls of Paper and Fire months and months ago, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really a fresh take on a fantasy trope series, and I loved it. I thought it was intensely good. The writing was excellent, the prose was beautiful, and I definitely wanted to see where the story was going. Now, I'll be honest here, I only gave this 3 stars, whereas Girls of Paper and Fire I gave like 5 stars. It is what it is. Yeah, this one wasn't doing it for me, really. Oh, man. Okay, I'll explain. Book 1 of the series, it was more contained, I think. It was all happening in this palace, and we were focusing on this group of girls who were all going through the same trauma, and how all of them react to it differently and try to cope. And yes, trigger warning here, this drama is mainly sexual assault. They are basically been taken to become the king's harem. So you can assume what that means. The whole approach to that situation was done so beautifully and handled so well that it was rare, because a lot of books don't handle sexual assault in any meaningful way that's not just for shock value, and her book really did it. It was good. And so I went into this one expecting more of the emotional depth that I got out of the first book, and that wasn't the point of this book. Girls of Storm and Shadow is more an adventure story. There are moments with these girls trying to still cope with what has been done to them in here, but that's kind of not the point of the story. The point of the story is more expanding the universe and trying, to overthrow an evil king, which, honestly, that's every fantasy book. So I went into this thinking I was going to be getting something different than what I got. I don't know why I thought I was going to get something different, because the way that book 1 ends, I would assume some of these things are going to be happening, but I don't know. It's just not the story I wanted to get, and I don't know. I have such mixed feelings about it, because I loved book 1 so bad that it hurts to not like book 2. I gave it 3 because it's still very well written. Her writing is gorgeous. Her prose is so interesting and delicate. I can't really think of a better adjective than delicate, because her writing is so flowery and poetic that it seems delicate. And so yeah, I can't fault the writing in here. The writing is gorgeous. The way things are phrased is gorgeous. There are some scenes in here that are really good for emotional depth. It's just I didn't want to read another, action fantasy adventure. I've read them before. It's nothing new. So I think that was the thing, because book 1 was definitely something new. I hadn't seen something exactly like that before. And also the delicate prose, the interesting character development, the range of emotion was so deep that I thought it was going to carry over more into this one, and this one isn't the point. It is more about expanding the universe and this big adventure story. So that's also just my expectations not being met. It's not the book's fault that it didn't go in a place where I wanted it to go, so I don't want to knock the book. That's why I gave it 3 stars, because it's still good. It's just not good for me, I think. Other people might really, really love this, because it's definitely well written. It's well crafted. I love the writing still. I'll probably still read the 3rd book of the series when it comes out. This just wasn't what I was expecting to get after book 1, because book 1 had such a different tone, and I was expecting more of that, and I didn't get it. So that's my own expectations not being met. Nothing against the book. However, do I think the book would have been better if certain aspects of the story were focused on more? Yes. However, if I think they focused on those same aspects again, would I've just got the same book as book one? I don't know. It's like one of those catch-22 things. Like if they just wrote more of what I liked from book one, would they just be writing book one again and not giving me a new story? Or I don't know. I gave it 3 stars. It's good. It's well written. It's just, I didn't really particularly like it. There's multiple reasons why, and if they did change the things I didn't like, would I have liked it more? Yeah, but would it have been like similar to book 2? I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole of bookish like thought. So I'm just gonna stop before I just keep going down that hole forever. It's like chicken and the egg here. But very beautifully written, but it's a very different kind of tone and story than book 1. So if you're expecting more of book 1, you're probably not gonna be so into this. But if you love action-adventure stories and you like that beautiful, delicate prose, you're going to absolutely love this. So it's going to really depend on the reader, I think. The last book I read in 2019, book 150 for the year, mind you, thank you very much, was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. And I really didn't know what to think about this going in because I know it's about lesbian necromancers in space, which is such a weird thing to say. But on the other hand, also incredible. So I don't know. Basically, if someone just told me that tagline, lesbian necromancers in space, I'd be like, yes, give me that book right now. And that's what I did. I went and bought that book right now. And you know what? I didn't expect this to be as funny as it was. It's very much kind of snarky anti-hero vibe, which is like my jam. If you have ever watched one of my videos, you know your girl loves a good anti-hero. And oh man, is Gideon a great anti-hero. She's super sassy and hilarious and clever and witty, and it's just really well done. I've read a lot of books with the same kind of like witty asshole character, and not all of them are great, but this one, oh man, is real fun. You kind of have an enemies to friends story going on as well with Gideon and Harrow. Harrow and Gideon are around the same age, but they've always had this really antagonistic relationship because Harrow is like the heir to the 9th house and Gideon is basically indentured servant. So it's not necessarily a healthy relationship. But throughout the story, they end up kind of realizing that they have like similarities between them in their personalities and they kind of become friends. Now, I was led to believe that this was like a lesbian romance. I don't know why. I think if you just made like a point of saying it's about lesbian necromancers in space, I assumed there was going to be a romance here. I don't know if that's my own problem or if it was like hinted at that there was supposed to be a romance here, but if there was one, I didn't find it. I don't think this has any romantic elements in it necessarily. There's definitely friendship. I feel like Gideon and Harrow become friends. There's nothing really in here that's romantic between them, I would say. I mean, they're both women. I think that was it. I mean, Gideon is obviously a lesbian because she always like is thinking about women and is very attracted to them. But Harrow Hart, they don't say anything about either way. So I don't know. I don't know why I thought this was supposed to be a romance because I didn't really find any romance in here. It felt more like just friendship, which honestly I liked. Like I wanted to see more an enemies to friends story because there's so many enemies to lovers stories out there. And I'm like, yeah, why can't people just be friends? Like just because you have 2 women together doesn't mean they have to like do it. So yeah, I like the friendship aspect here. And also, you know, there's sword fights and it's a kind of a closed circle mystery. They're all basically there's 9 houses and they all get invited to this space station place or planet. I'm not really sure what it was, but they all get invited there because the emperor is like, I need lectors, which are basically like immortal people who serve him. He's like, I need to make some come over and learn and stuff. So they all get there and they all start learning and turning against each other and I don't know, just trying to be dicks. They're a bunch of spoiled rich kids all shoved together in this place and people keep dying, so who's doing it? There's a lot of like mystery elements going on here and personally like, yes, did I guess the bad guy? Yeah, I guessed the bad guy because I'm just like, I bet it's them. Because there's a lot going on here to make me think it's not them. And I'm like, it was them. And I'm like, yeah, it was them. So yes, I did catch the bad guy, but there wasn't a lot of clues in here to make it obvious. It was just like, I bet it's them kind of situation. So, I mean, if you like a murder mystery story that also has necromancers and magic and space and sword fights and lesbians, like, you are going to love every ounce of this book. If for some reason that stuff doesn't sound appealing to you, you probably won't get it and not like it very much. But personally, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was so well written, so intricately done, and I liked it. I love the world building. I love the galaxy here and all the different houses and how they interact with each other, and they all are in charge of different aspects, I guess. It's a similar world building I've seen in other kind of sci-fi stories, but I don't mind that kind of world building. And I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought it was so funny and well written and action packed, and like, I loved reading it. I had so much fun reading it. I cannot recommend enough. So good. It's got snarky anti-heroes. It's got sword fights and necromancers, space, and like, you know, spoiled rich kids. It's got like everything I could have wanted, plus a murder mystery. I gave it 5 stars. It was also the last book I read in 2019, and I'm so glad this was the last book I read. It made like the decade and the year close out on a good note. It was so fun. It was so much fun. So, only 4 books for the end of the month, but I got a lot of cool stuff on deck for January, and I'm hoping it's a better reading month. I mean, definitely I'll have more time. The holidays are difficult to get a lot of reading done. And since there's not really any holidays in January, I think I'm gonna be killing it. Let me know in the comments down below, did you read any of these books also this year? And if so, did you love them? Did you hate them? What were your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, hey, let me know what your last book you read in 2019 was. What was your end of the year book? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon.